This video is brought to you by Squarespace, a platform perfect for making your own website or online store. I did a poll on my Instagram story asking people if they draw every day, and most people said no. I personally don't draw every day. I do have stretches where I draw like a few days in a row. I don't draw for a few days after that. I draw every couple of days. I go like a week without drawing, maybe longer. It just depends on what I'm working on at the time usually. I was thinking about this topic lately while I was drawing this sketchbook spread of chickens. That's what we'll be watching during this video. I was thinking about this because when I was younger, I sort of romanticized the idea of drawing every day. I remember distinctly a moment where I commented on one of my favorite artists' posts on like DeviantArt, and I asked them if they draw every day, and they said, yeah, I draw almost every day. And I was just like, wow, that's so cool. Like, I want to draw every day. Like, I want to be as good as them, and like, I want to make tons of art and just like be inspired and draw all the time too. And I think at that point I was also drawing every day because I was like super inspired and excited to draw. It was like early on in my artist journey, and I just felt like I had a really long road ahead of me with like a lot of possibilities of like growing my style and my skills, and I was just really excited to get better at art. That was my main factor for drawing back then. And then when I was in art school, I was pretty much drawing a lot every day because you sort of have to if you want to keep up with assignments. I improved a lot during this time. Like, I think during art school was my biggest jump in improvement in my art, and I think I've improved a lot since then as well. So I guess it's not just the art school, but I do think that was like a big jump in my skills. Even though I improved a lot, it was pretty exhausting, and a lot of people experience burnout, and you just end up having to draw a lot of things that you don't want to, because it's sort of like preparing you for a career in art where you might get commissioned things that you don't want to draw, or like you might work for a company where you have to draw things that you wouldn't normally draw. Like, it's basically, none of it is personal art. It's all for a purpose, for an assignment, for all sorts of things. And making that kind of art can really lead to burnout. I think eventually a lot of us kind of, like, some people were burnt out a lot, but then you sort of get used to it by the last like 2 years, and you're like, I'm kind of used to drawing all the time now, so it's not really that hard anymore. But it's not like that for everybody. It's hard for me to think back, but that's not to say that drawing every day will always give you burnout. It's just that if you're forced to do it or you have no choice, it can definitely lead you there. Like, being forced to do something creative when you don't have it in you at the time can be really difficult. Drawing every day is definitely beneficial to developing your skills as an artist, because the more you draw, usually the more you improve. But not everyone can draw every day. Like, not everyone has the time, not everyone has the stamina or the energy. And that's okay too. It doesn't mean you're not going to improve or anything like that. But I find like the more you do it, the easier it is to keep doing it. You kind of have to like get the ball rolling. And I say this as someone who does not draw every single day. In an ideal world, I would draw for like 20 minutes a day, 20 or more minutes. Like, it seems really manageable when you put it like that. But I don't do this, even though I find myself with lots of free time most days. Like, well, not tons of free time, but I usually find a couple like hours in the day where I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. Like, I don't know what to do with my time. And nothing really seems like I don't really feel like being creative or drawing. Sometimes it just feels like a big task to open my sketchbook and make some lines, because honestly, drawing is tiring, and it might not look like it is, but it really is tiring. And I think it took me a while to realize that it actually takes quite a bit of energy to draw. And this probably seems obvious to other people, but to me, I just never really noticed it all the time. Like, of course, if you're burnt out or you're struggling, drawing takes a lot of effort, and this is very noticeable to the person who is drawing. Like, you always notice it in the moment where you're like, I have to make this thing for this person, but I just really can't bring myself to draw. Nothing's coming out right. I'm so tired. Or like, my assignment to do tomorrow and I still need to finish painting it. You always notice when you're tired in those moments. But when I'm actually having fun with what I'm drawing, I have also realized that takes energy too. Even though you're enjoying yourself, you're still using energy. You're still going to be a little more tired after it than before. Unless it's like, I don't know, inspiring you and like you just feel really excited about what you made. You might get energized by that. But usually it does take energy to draw, even if you're having fun. Just maybe not as much as when you're burnt out or struggling or when you're like trying to draw something new and challenging. If you're an artist and you're looking to make an online portfolio, maybe you should check out Squarespace. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. You probably know Squarespace, but if you don't, they're an online platform where you can build your own customized website. You can change so many things about your website. That's one of my favorite things, is how you can customize everything. You can change the fonts and the colors. You can add a gallery to showcase your portfolio, and it's really easy to do this by uploading all of your images. You can drag and drop them, rearrange them how you want them to be displayed, and then Squarespace will take care of displaying them all beside each other nicely thanks to their automatic image scaling. You can also use Squarespace for e-commerce if you like to start your own shop. And I am going to look into using Squarespace for my digital downloads that I want to have in the future, like my Procreate brush pack that I'm working on. So I'm going to try to use Squarespace for that. I've been using Squarespace to host my portfolio and my website for a long time now, and it's always very easy to switch things up whenever I want. To start your own website, go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JelArts to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. I also think if you get into the habit of drawing often, each time you draw is a little less intimidating. Because if you barely use your sketchbook, each time you open it to draw is probably going to feel like a bigger deal than someone who uses it multiple times a day. So if you're drawing all the time, there's almost like less pressure on each individual sketch, and it's more about, I'm just drawing a lot and like every once in a while something will turn out great. If you barely draw, you're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself that one time that you actually find the time to draw. And if it doesn't work out well, you're just going to feel disappointed in yourself. It's sort of like a muscle that you have to exercise, or a habit that you're trying to get into. When you first start, it might seem challenging to keep with it, but the more you do it, the easier it is to do each time. That's usually what I found with drawing and sketching. I guess it mostly applies to like sketchbooking, but it can apply to like all sorts of creative hobbies and drawing and all sorts of stuff. When I was younger, I think what fueled me to draw almost every day was my excitement to improve my skills. I really wanted to be one of those people who could draw beautiful things effortlessly. I would watch a lot of tutorials and try drawing in different styles. I'd practice coloring, anatomy, drawing hands. I would like try to design characters, all sorts of stuff. I would get frustrated at my amateur level of art, but this made me want to keep going and improve, because I knew like if I just keep drawing like years down the line, like who knows what my art could look like. I don't think I drew every day for a long period of time. I think I just had like phases where I got really obsessed with art and I did it all the time, and I was super inspired and into it. I think nowadays though, I'm pretty happy with my style and where I'm at the moment, and I have a body of work that I'm proud of. So I don't have this like urgency to get to where I want to be anymore. I'm sort of like, I have to make sure I don't get complacent, sort of. I don't need to put in as many hours as my younger self did, because I'm at a skill level that I'm pretty happy with. Of course, I'm still trying to find ways to improve as I go, because art isn't really like, there's no really end point. You kind of like keep developing over your whole life of drawing. And I know this because when I look back at art from a year or two ago, I can see improvements made because I can notice mistakes that I didn't notice back then. It's just not as drastic as when I was younger. Like the differences are more subtle, and it's probably only things that I could notice, but I'm sure other people could notice some of them as well. It's more of a gradual improvement and more of a development and like changing in style and changing the subject matters that I draw and like how much detail I add, like all sorts of stuff like that. And my art process these days usually works like this. I have a few days where I don't draw anything, and eventually I'm like, when was the last time I drew something? Like it's been a couple days, it's been like a week, like I don't remember when I just pulled out my sketchbook for fun. And eventually I just really want to make art, or I have a project I need to work on, like a Patreon print, or I need to film a video. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I haven't drawn in a while. I'm kind of excited to get started on this. So I get started, and it feels like I have a lot of energy for making art that day. Usually, like if I haven't done it in a while and I'm in a good mood, it's usually pretty fun to like start drawing. It kind of feels like refreshing. But if I work on a project for a really long time, like the mole painting that I did last month, eventually I lose steam and I just want to get it done. I just focus on finishing it. That mole painting took so long, and like when I first started it, I was so excited because I was like, I haven't done a traditional painting in a long time with watercolor. I haven't done something this like in depth that's not on my iPad, that's actually on paper. But then it just started taking so long, and I started to get really like, oh my gosh, this is taking forever. But I powered through and I got it done, and that's kind of what you have to do sometimes. But this is all to say that I noticed whenever I have a long time away from drawing, when I come back to it, I feel really refreshed. And I used to like feel guilty for taking long breaks. I'd be like, I haven't drawn in so long. Like, I wonder if other artists do this. Like, do other people take many days off of drawing? The answer is obviously yes. But I'm still like trying to overcome these like inner insecurities about how often I draw. Can I call myself like a real artist if I'm not making art every day? Like, can I call myself a real artist if I'm only drawing animals and I don't really draw people anymore? There's so many things like that that I need to unlearn. Like, no one does their hobby every single day. Some people might. I'm just saying, it's not common for like even if you're an athlete or you're exercising and working out, you need rest days to recover and recharge. You have to go out and experience the world to gain inspiration and put that into your art. So I don't draw every day, but the system I have works well for me, I think. And of course, every artist wants to produce more art. Like, I feel like we all like think about the possible pieces of art we could be making. Like, if only I just spent more time. Like, I wish I could draw more. I wish I produced more art. I wish I filled my sketchbooks faster. Like, look at that artist. They just posted a sketchbook tour. I should really fill my sketchbook. I should be drawing right now. Like, we all kind of might guilt ourselves into thinking this way. I think all of us wish we could be more productive in like any aspect of our life. Like, filling sketchbooks twice as fast as I do now definitely seems appealing to me, but I just don't know if it's practical because I only have so much energy and I have to dedicate it to other tasks like packing orders and posting to social media, recording this video right now, editing this video after I record. Instead, I try to focus on getting the most out of each art session that I actually find time for and just have fun with it instead of forcing yourself to draw every day and forcing yourself to draw when you don't want to. Sometimes I'm in the mood to like challenge myself and to be like, I'm going to draw every day for a week, or I'm going to try to draw a lot more. And like that makes me feel like energized and like it's fun to have a challenge. But sometimes you don't want to do that. I think every artist is different. Everyone goes through different phases of art making or non-art making. And sometimes we have tons of energy and we feel really creative and inspired. And sometimes it's a bit more challenging than that. So I don't know. This is just something that I kind of wanted to talk about because I used to be like, I need to draw every day. And if I don't, then like, I can't like say that I draw every day because it's like cool to draw every day or something. That's how I used to think. But I don't draw every day anymore. I have periods of time where I do draw multiple days in a row. I have moments where I don't. It really just depends on my mood. And I'm very curious, do you draw every day? And if you're someone who draws every day, like how long are you drawing every day? And what kind of art are you making? Like, are you sketching? Is it just like your career, so you kind of have to draw every day? Like, if you're someone who like works at a design firm or like is like a freelance illustrator, you're probably drawing every day for your job. So that's a given. I'd be very interested to hear how often you draw and what it is you're drawing and like how long do you spend each day? Like, what is your typical like week or month when it comes to actually drawing and like making art, using your sketchbook, or even doing any kind of like creative hobby or job that you have? I'm very interested to know. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little topic. I just wanted to put my thoughts out there because sometimes I just like to yap, as people say these days, for a long time about one thing. So I hope you found it interesting. And I drew a bunch of chickens while drawing this, and drawing I drew a bunch of chickens during this video. I filled 2 pages of chickens. I hope you like chickens. And roosters, I guess. I don't know if I drew a rooster or not. And I think there's some kind of like dove or pigeon. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks a little different than the rest of them. I use all sorts of media. I use watercolor. I use water-based markers. I use acrylic brush pens. I use Caran d'Ache pastels. And I used a Tombow like sepia brush pen. I use pencil crayon. I use so many different things. Oh my goodness. But I'm very like mixed media when it comes to my sketchbook. I like to use tons of color, usually. Sometimes I don't. Today I wanted to. So I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure to check out my Patreon if you want a cute badger print and a badger sketchbook page print and a badger sticker. This month is all about badgers, even though I drew chickens in this video. So check out my Patreon if you want to grab that package. It's $16 US no matter where you live. Shipping is included. And I also have a sticker tier for $8 or a print tier for $12, so you can choose what you want. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Make sure you check the link if you want to make your own website, and I'll see you in my next video.